Markham, Ontario. November 8, 2010, 9:35 p.m. She was found tied up, crying, and barely breathing on the floor of her own house. Her mother was shot in the face. Her father was barely clinging to life. And Jennifer Pan, just 24 years old, said masked men had broken into their home. She said they wanted money. She said they didn't mean to kill, but police felt it. Something was off. Why wasn't Jennifer hurt? Why did she call 911 while her hands were still tied behind her back? And who are these killers that never took a thing? What unfolded next would shatter Canada. A daughter's double life, a twisted secret, and a murder for hire plan so cold it left detectives speechless. This is a true story. Subscribe now to It Unbelievably and stay with us because nothing is what it seems. November 8th, 2010, 9:35 p.m. Markham, Ontario, Canada. The street was quiet. Cold wind brushed against the tall trees. In this calm suburb just outside Toronto, most homes were winding down for the night. But inside 231 Helen Avenue, chaos had erupted. The 911 call was frantic. A woman was screaming, sobbing uncontrollably. "We were robbed. They shot my parents. Please send help." The dispatcher tried to calm her down. "What's your name?" "Jennifer. Jennifer Pan." Officers arrived within minutes. What they found inside would haunt them. Jennifer was tied to the stair railing. Her body trembled, but there wasn't a scratch on her. She said 3 men in black stormed the house, forced her parents into the basement, and shot them execution style. Her mother, Bitch Pan, was declared dead at the scene. Her father, Han Pan, had been shot twice. A bullet to the face, a bullet to the chest, but somehow he was still breathing. Detectives were stunned. They didn't expect him to live, and they didn't expect what he'd say next. The Pans were the perfect family. Han and Bitch had moved from Vietnam to Canada in the 1970s, searching for peace and stability. They worked hard, Han at an auto parts manufacturer, Bitch at a parts supplier, and saved every dollar for their children's future. They bought a modest 2-story home in a safe neighborhood. They lived simply. They had dreams for their kids, especially for Jennifer. Jennifer was their golden child. From the outside, she was everything immigrant parents could hope for. A straight-A student, a piano prodigy, a figure skater with Olympic dreams, soft-spoken, respectful, obedient, but beneath the surface, a lie was growing. Jennifer hadn't been getting straight A's. She hadn't been graduating. She hadn't been accepted to university. And yet, she told her parents she had. She told them she was studying pharmacology at the University of Toronto. She even printed fake report cards. She said she was volunteering at a hospital. She even packed her bag every morning and sat at libraries or her boyfriend's apartment all day, and her parents believed her. For years, but it was all a lie. 2008, Jennifer was cornered. Her father wanted to attend her graduation ceremony. Jennifer panicked. She cried. She begged. Then she confessed there was no graduation, no university, no job, no hospital she expected. Forgiveness. Instead, she got prison. Her father banned her from seeing her boyfriend, Daniel Wong. He took away her phone. He tracked her internet. Jennifer, now 22, was placed on lockdown, but she had a plan. A dark, desperate one. Back to November 8, 2010, the night of the attic, Jennifer told police she'd been upstairs when the men entered. She said they dragged her parents downstairs. They tied her up but left her alive, but the crime scene didn't add up. The house wasn't ransacked. Nothing was stolen. Jennifer's bindings? Loose. And somehow, she'd managed to reach her phone and call 911 with her hands still tied behind her back. It didn't sit right. Investigators started reviewing her phone logs. What they found sent a chill through the room. Hundreds of texts, dozens of calls, not to friends, but to a man named Lenford Homeboy Crawford, a known drug dealer, a man with a criminal record, and Daniel Wong, Jennifer's ex-boyfriend. This is a real story. Every fact you hear is public. You can check it yourself. More revelations followed. Jennifer had been talking to Daniel again, in secret, and they were planning something. Daniel had moved on, started dating someone else. Jennifer felt lost, angry, trapped. That's when the idea came up. First as a joke, then as a what if, then something real. If her parents were gone, she'd get the house, she'd get the money, she'd be free to be with Daniel. She told her contacts she wanted them dead. She even drew a map of the house. She gave them her schedule. She left the door unlocked on November 8th. The plan was carried out, and then something shocking happened just days after the attack. Han Pan woke up. He couldn't speak much, but what he said changed everything. "I saw her," he whispered. "Saw who?" asked detectives. "Jennifer." She was talking to them, like she knew them. Han Pan's survival was a miracle. He had been shot point blank in the face. The bullet fractured his skull, broke a bone near his eye, and exited through his neck. The second bullet tore into his chest and collapsed his lung. Doctors weren't hopeful, but somehow, after days in a coma, Han opened his eyes, and what he remembered would change the entire investigation. Jennifer wasn't a victim. She was involved. He said she was not crying that night. She wasn't scared. She was talking to the gunman, calmly, quietly. At first, officers hesitated. Could Han's memory be trusted after such trauma? But there was something chilling in his voice. A father who had just lost his wife. A man whose daughter, once the center of his life, now made his blood run cold. Detectives started watching Jennifer closer. They invited her in for another interview, but this time it wasn't about sympathy. It was a trap. Detective William Gertz led the session. He didn't push hard. He didn't accuse her. He made her feel safe, made her feel smart, and then, slowly, started pulling on loose threads. Jennifer said she couldn't see the attackers, only their voices. She claimed she didn't know how they entered, but when asked how they tied her up, she got confused. She couldn't demonstrate it. Her arms twisted the wrong way. Her logic crumbled. So Gertz offered her a lifeline. He leaned in and said softly, "Jennifer, sometimes bad things happen. Things get out of control. If this wasn't what you wanted, you can tell us." And just like that, the dam cracked. Jennifer confessed, but only halfway. She said she hired men not to kill, but to scare her. She claimed she wanted her father hurt because he was too strict. She said she just wanted to be free from the rules. She wanted a life, freedom, love, but no death. The story was shaky, still manipulative, still hiding something. Detectives didn't believe her, and they didn't need to, because the phone records were speaking louder than she ever could. Digital footprints sealed her fate. Between October and November 2010, Jennifer had exchanged over 100 messages with her boyfriend's criminal contacts. The topic? Murder for hire. They discussed money. They discussed entry points. She gave them a floor plan of the house. She even told them which night the doors would be unlocked. But what shocked investigators most was the price, $10,000. That's all it took to erase her parents, except they only got half up front. The rest, promised after the job, which meant Jennifer was supposed to pay the killers with money she'd inherited after her parents died. A cold, premeditated execution. The hitmen were identified through phone pings, surveillance footage, and digital chats. Police tracked down Eric Carty, the getaway driver, David Milvaganum, one of the shooters, Lenford homeboy Crawford, the middleman who connected Jennifer, and the other Saul, were arrested. But none expected Jennifer, the sweet-faced, soft-voiced, good daughter, to be the one who set it all in motion. When she was finally arrested, she showed no emotion. She cried when questioned, but in the holding cell, she slept. The trial would be one of the most shocking in Canadian history. In March 2014, Jennifer Pan stood trial for first-degree murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. Her defense tried to argue she'd never wanted her parents killed, only scared that she was emotionally abused, trapped, a victim of a strict cultural household. But the prosecution laid it bare. Jennifer wasn't a trapped daughter. She was a master manipulator. She lied about school, about work, about everything for years. And when the truth caught up to her, she decided to erase the people who loved her most. They played back her 911 call in court. One juror said later, "It didn't feel right. It felt rehearsed." The jury didn't take long. In December 2014, Jennifer Pan was found guilty on all charges. She was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. Her CO conspirators received the same, but even after justice was served, nothing could undo the devastation. Today, Han Pan lives, but only in part. He suffered permanent damage, lost vision in one eye, has chronic pain. His wife is gone. His daughter, a stranger. He wrote in his victim impact statement, "I lost my wife. I lost my daughter. I don't feel like I have a family anymore." He sold the house. He changed his name. He lives in anonymity now, away from the cameras, away from Helen Avenue. This is not fiction. Every detail is part of a real case. You can verify yourself. What drives someone to destroy their own family? And how long can you fake the perfect life before it cracks? News of Jennifer Pan's arrest swept across Canada like wildfire. Local headlines exploded on a student accused in parents' murder plot. Daughter orchestrated kill hit while pretending to study. People couldn't believe it. She wasn't a criminal. She was the girl next door, always smiling, always polite. She played piano at recitals, tutored younger students. She made handmade cards for her teachers, but behind that sweet exterior lived years of deception, and when the mask fell, everyone was left asking, how did no one see it? The courtroom was packed during trial, reporters, law students, grieving, relatives, every seat filled, every breath held. Each day, Jennifer sat silently, dressed neatly, her long black hair tied back. She cried at times when photos of her mother were shown, when recordings of her sobbing 911 call played, but there was something missing in her face, something that unnerved the jury. No rage, no grief, just calculation. One juror would later describe it as watching someone act the wrong scene in the wrong movie. The prosecution built their case with precision. They laid out her web of lies starting all the way back in high school. She faked report cards. She doctored university emails. She told friends she was studying science. She convinced her parents she was working at a Toronto hospital. Every lie served a purpose, to maintain control. When cornered, Jennifer never lashed out physically. She manipulated. She adapted. And when she could no longer bend the truth, she chose to eliminate the obstacle. That obstacle was her parents. The most devastating evidence wasn't digital. It was handwritten. Investigators found a notebook in Jennifer's room. Inside were timelines, doodles, even draft versions of the murder plot. One page listed, Dad comes home around 9, leave front door open, lights off upstairs. After it's done, go upstairs. Wait, each line read like a shopping list. Only the item was death. The defense fought back hard. They argued Jennifer had been raised in an oppressive home, that her parents were strict beyond reason, that she was a product of tiger parenting, the high-pressure cultural model of discipline, obedience, and achievement. They brought in psychologists who testified she suffered from anxiety, emotional collapse, and feelings of helplessness. She was drowning, the defense said, and she believed this was the only way out. But even sympathetic ears in the courtroom struggled to accept the leap from pressure to murder. Many asked, if she felt trapped, why not just leave? Outside the courthouse, crowds gathered. Some came to protest violence against parents. Others came to support Pan, the father who lost everything. A few stood in silence, holding signs that read, justice for bitch, truth over lies. One woman in the crowd whispered to a reporter, I knew Jennifer when she was in school. We all looked up to her. It scares me now how easy it was to fool everyone. When the guilty verdict was read, Jennifer barely blinked. Life in prison. No parole for 25 years. She was 28. She would be 53 before she could even apply for release. Her face went pale, but she didn't scream, didn't cry, just nodded softly, and was led away in cuffs. Daniel Wong and the hitmen received identical sentences. No appeals, no second chances. The fallout rippled beyond the courtroom. For weeks, Canada debated the case, not just the crime, but what it said about identity, culture, and emotional abuse. Some people saw Jennifer as a cold-blooded manipulator. Others saw her as a cautionary tale, a young woman broken under the weight of unrealistic expectations. Psychologists weighed in. Cultural critics unpacked the meaning of honor in immigrant households, but nothing could change what had happened. One night, one unlocked door, one daughter who planned it all. This is a true story. Every word can be verified. What would drive a person to destroy the very people who gave them life? And how many lies does it take to kill the truth? Inside prison, Jennifer Pan vanished from public view. She was placed in the Grand Valley Institution for Women, a medium or maximum security prison in Ontario. Her behavior was quiet, compliant. She joined the prison choir, volunteered in the library, kept to herself. But what truly haunted people was not what she did in prison, but how normal she seemed before. That a girl with no criminal record, no known violent tendencies, could plan such a horrific act with such precision. Meanwhile, Pan lives in silence. He never returned to his family home. He sold it within months of the attack. He wears dark glasses now, walks with a slower step. He still carries bullet fragments in his face. When asked once if he would ever forgive Jennifer, he replied, "She is my daughter, but she is also my wife's killer." He hasn't spoken to her since the trial, long after the prison doors closed behind Jennifer Pan. The world kept asking, why? Why would a young woman raised in safety, comfort, and love plot such a brutal end for her own family? The trial was over, the verdicts delivered, but the questions only grew louder. This wasn't just about murder, this was about identity, about pressure, about secrets, and about how far someone might go just to live their own life. In universities across Canada, the case became a case study. Professors in psychology, criminology, and sociology dissected it with students. Lectures focused on covert narcissism, identity collapse, and family control dynamics. Was Jennifer's behavior the result of suppressed trauma, or had she developed a manipulative personality disorder? Some scholars argued Jennifer's entire identity was constructed for someone else. The moment it fell apart, she had no self left to live for, only strategy. Others disagreed. They pointed out her careful planning, her years of deception, her ability to lie to friends, teachers, even her own brother. She didn't snap, she schemed. The media called it the good daughter syndrome. Newspapers ran headlines like, "When being perfect becomes a prison, a deadly lie." Canada's most polite killer. TV specials aired reenactments of the crime. Podcasts dove deep into her high school years, her friendships, her secret life with Dania Wong, and time and again, one moment came up, her 911 call. Many believed it was the performance of her life, rehearsed, paced, and performed with just enough panic to sound real, but beneath it, something was off. No genuine horror, no instinctive screams, just a steady rhythm, almost like she was following a script. Behind bars, Jennifer stopped speaking publicly. No interviews, no statements, no remorse. She didn't write a book. She didn't speak out about family pressure or cultural pain. She simply disappeared into routine. Her prison file lists her as cooperative. She rarely speaks to other inmates. She declines psychological treatment. One staff member reportedly said, "She's the most polite prisoner I've met." And that makes her scarier than most. The Pan family home on Helen Avenue stayed empty for years. No one wanted to live in the house where a mother was killed, where a daughter gave the signal, and where a father barely escaped death. The neighborhood changed. After that night, people put up more cameras. They double locked their doors. They stopped thinking it couldn't happen here. One neighbor told a reporter, "Jennifer used to wave at us. We gave her Halloween candy. She was a sweetheart." Now I question everything. The deeper horror of the Jennifer Pan case wasn't the violence. It was the layers of illusion. A family who looked perfect. A daughter who wore a mask for a decade. A crime that didn't come from rage, but planning. And even after everything unraveled, no one could agree on whether Jennifer was a monster or a mirror, a reflection of what happens when control replaces connection. When reputation becomes more important than reality. This is a real story. You can verify every detail, the names, the places, the court files, the messages, the lies. They're all still out there, frozen in digital ink, forever searchable. And even now, people stumble across this case and ask the same question: could I have seen the signs? Jennifer's younger brother, Felix, stayed silent throughout the trial. He sat behind his father, stoic, unmoving. He'd lived in the same house, known the same girl, and yet he too had been fooled. At the time of the crime, Felix was away studying engineering. Jennifer had told him everything was fine at home, that she was working hard, making their parents proud. He never suspected that beneath her smile, she was planning their parents' death. He cut off all contact, never visited her. In prison, changed his number, moved on. But how do you really move on when your own sister destroyed your family? Experts say the Jennifer Pan case reshaped public conversations. It forced communities, especially immigrant families, to talk about parenting pressure, emotional neglect, and silent rebellion. It also raised a darker question: are we raising achievers or actors? Young people, especially in high-performance households, started sharing online, "I lied like Jennifer did." Not that far, but I understand why she cracked. My parents only love me when I win. What happens if I fail? These weren't confessions of crime. They were signals, warnings, and the Jennifer Pan case became the shadow behind them. For years, true crime fans asked, will Jennifer ever speak out? Would she write a letter, express remorse, apologize to her father? So far, nothing. No memoir, no public apology, no appeal filed. As of now, she remains silent, a ghost in the prison system. A name that surfaces every few years when someone discovers the case for the first time, and every time it's told, the disbelief returns. She really did that. She killed her own mum and tried to kill her dad? Yes, and it was real. There is no grave with Jennifer Pan's name on it, no candlelit vigil, no framed photo at a family altar. She is still alive, but for many, she might as well be a ghost. Her face is frozen in time on courtroom sketches, school photos, and news thumbnails. To the public, she is no longer a daughter. She is a warning. After the trial, her name was stripped from family records. Old friends deleted her from social media. Neighbors said her name with a whisper or not at all. Markham, Ontario, once known for its peace and low crime, had become known for one thing: a daughter who ordered her parents' execution. People drive past 231 Helen Avenue now without looking. The curtains are always drawn. The house, once filled with laughter, now sits in silence. No one trick or treats there anymore. No one knocks on the door. No one forgets. Pan lives alone. He doesn't speak to media anymore. He declined all interviews after the sentencing. His injuries never fully healed, physical or emotional. He walks slower now. His jaw aches from the bullet that shattered it. He sometimes forgets words, but what he never forgets is that he woke up and saw his daughter speaking to the men who tried to kill him. That moment replays over and over. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't begging. She was calm. And then, the shots. The Pan family once dreamed of generational legacy, careers, grandchildren, success. Now, the line ends here. No more birthdays celebrated together. No more Lunar New Year dinners. No family photos updated. Just a life split into two timelines before November 8, 2010. And after in prison, Jennifer has made no requests. She doesn't speak to the press. She doesn't fight her sentence. She doesn't reach out to her father. Some believe this is her quiet acceptance of guilt. Others think it's just another masked silence worn like a shield. Guards describe her as quiet, respectful, isolated. She rarely causes problems. She does what she's told. She blends in, but beneath that calm exterior is the same woman who made a list and put her own parents' names on it. What makes this case different from others isn't the violence. It's how quietly it was planned. No explosions, no break-ins, just texts, maps, phone calls, timing, a calm voice on a 911 call, a door left unlocked, and a family torn apart from the inside out. This is not fiction. Every fact is public. The photos, the court transcripts, the text messages, they are real. They are tragic, and they are permanent. The Pan case continues to ripple through Canadian law enforcement. Police academies now use it in training programs to teach investigators how to detect manipulation, read inconsistent statements, and track digital evidence. It changed how detectives view victims, especially ones who survive. Sometimes, the person who's crying is also the person who lit the match, and the questions never stop. Would this have happened if she had confessed earlier? If anyone had seen through her lies? What if Jennifer had simply walked away, changed her name, started over? Why? Murder? Why this? No one will ever have those answers. Not fully, because Jennifer won't talk, and no one can crawl inside the mind that planned this. Today, there is no grave for Bitch Pan in the front yard. She rests in a cemetery outside Markham. Beside others who lived quieter lives, her gravestone is simple. Just her name, her birth date, and a single line beneath it: beloved wife and mother, taken too soon. Imagine a house at night, 2 floors, 1 light on upstairs. Everything looks quiet from the outside, but behind those walls, a daughter is texting, a mother is cleaning up. After dinner, a father is watching the evening news. No one knows that in just hours, that house will fall silent forever, not from outside intruders, but from a plan made inside the very family that once sat together at that kitchen table. Have you heard this story before? Did you believe the 911 call was real? Would you have seen the signs? Subscribe to it Unbelievable Tree, because every week, we uncover the darkest truths hiding in plain sight. Watch the next story on your screen now, or dive into our full playlist of crimes you won't believe were real. The next one might be even closer than you